Okay, in this video I'm going to show you how to upgrade your wheels on your Thule Glider Board from these stock wheels to a more traditional skate or inline style of wheel. It's a pretty simple upgrade. You're going to need two things. First, you'll need some new kind of an axle that's made for the skate wheel. And then, of course, the wheel and bearings. Sometimes they're pre-assembled, sometimes they're not. So the wheel size you need an 80 millimeter. This stock wheel is like 76-ish, and so the closest standard size is 80 millimeters. And then the axle diameter needs to be 8 millimeters. That's the size that will fit on the glider board. And then as far as the length of this, you want it between 30 and 32 millimeters. I think 32 is probably the best if you can find it. Otherwise 30 will be fine. So first let's assemble our bearing and our skate wheel real quick, and then I'll show you how to take the old wheel off. Okay, so step one is preferably don't drop any of the washers like I just did. So if your wheel isn't pre-assembled, this part's pretty simple. So you're going to press the first bearing in on one side, and you can just place it on a hard surface and push the wheel down. That works fine. And then you'll have a spacer like that. You put that in, and then I typically use the axle to make sure it lines up, and then we'll push in the other bearing right there. And so it should be a tight fit, and then I'm just going to use a hard surface to press it down. Okay, and you can give it a light tap with the hammer if you need to. So there it is, it's in. Alright, so the axle is going to go through there just like that. So that's ready, and we'll set this aside until we get the old wheel out. Alright, this part is the hard part. The stock wheel, which is this hard plastic, is really loud. It's a bit harder. I think my guess as to why they use these is these are really hard. They're going to be really durable, and there's going to be no maintenance because there's no bearing in here. It's just the axle, the wheel rotating on the axle. And so you'll never have bearings wear out, or you won't have to grease them or anything. But the ride quality is, it's kind of noisy. So let's get the old wheel out. You're going to need a tool to do this. You can use a Dremel, or in my case, I have a angle grinder with a metal cutoff wheel. This just makes it go quite a bit faster. So we'll get the old one off. The goal here is on this side. So that axle, they just kind of flange it out to keep it in there. And so I'm going to try and cut this flange off, and then it should just slide out. So there's the old one. Alright, so now we just have to put the new one on. Okay, so mine came with some washers, so I'm gonna use those. And it also came with the, I think they're 5mm Allen wrenches that I'll use. Okay, here's the important thing you need to know. So for the bearing, you can see the middle part is what's spinning, and so that's the part that we want to contact. And so what's going to contact on the scooter is much wider. It's going to contact part of it that we don't want to. So we're going to use these little washers that came with the bearings, and we want that to be the part that is sort of sandwiched in between here. So first, this washer, so it's on the outside, then this one on the inside, then our wheel with the bearings, and I placed that one over top there, so there's one on top. So we'll sort of line that up. Get that in there. Okay. Okay, so now that's all in, and now I need the other end, which is just this piece. Okay, and then we're gonna screw that down. Oh, I forgot the washer again. So, washer on the outside. And you'll notice that these came with thread locker. You're definitely going to want thread lock. If it's not already on the screw, you'll want to put some on because these will be vibrating quite a bit and you don't want them to come loose. And then we're just going to tighten this down. There's quite a bit to tighten because the fork that goes around it was a little bit too wide for these wheels. So we're just going to tighten it until it narrows that opening. So we're actually going to be bending it into place here as we tighten it, and that's fine. So we're going to tighten it as tight as we can and then back it off just slightly. And when we back it off, I'm going to sort of make sure all the washers are where they need to be, and then I'll tighten it back down again. Just hand tight. It doesn't have to be, you know, incredibly tight, like just so. Okay. All right, and then test the wheel. Okay, very good. All right, so now both wheels are installed. We just got to test it. Alright, here we are with it installed. It's actually doesn't make as big of a difference as I'd hoped. See, my main complaint was when we go over these expansion joints, it makes that loud noise. But when someone's actually on it and there's some weight on it, it's not as bad. So it definitely feels a little bit smoother. It's a little bit quieter. Probably not as big as an improvement as I'd hoped. You know, for the wheels and those axles, I think goes around like $25-30 total. Some marginal improvement, but not really that big of an improvement. Would I recommend it? I don't know. I'd say probably just stick with what you got. It's not that big of a difference, but you know, if you want to, it's maybe a little bit better. For some people, maybe it's worth it. So yeah.